Alright, and here's the final video on testing the GT500 fuel hat. So if you haven't seen the other two, go check those out. I test at stock and boosted voltage through the pressure range. And then while we were testing that, we noticed that the PPRV, which also has a high pressure relief, was actually dumping fuel throughout the pressure range. So from 30 to 70 psi, there was fuel trickling out of here. And it was a little more flow at higher pressures, obviously, and then it was less at lower, but it was leaking all the time. So literally all I did was cut it off the hat and install my PPRV delete kit, which is part of my top 3 upgrade for the GT500 setup. So it is installed, and we're going to get it back on the rig. And we're going to test it at stock and boosted voltage and see if we get any performance improvement, from removing the restriction, right? So here's a GT1, right? It is just, all it does is it's a traditional PPRV. It just holds fuel in the line, and there's a very small orifice in there that restricts flow. So we'll take a look at the GT500 one. I've pulled them apart before, but I'll take the lines off this one real quick so we can take a closer look. Well, of course it ended up in my tank. We'll cut this little black hose off too. Goodbye. Throw those away. Alright, so just like the GT one, this also has like a 1/4 inch 0.25 orifice and a little ball valve spring seat. And then there's the pressure relief valve next to it. So GT Venturi, or sorry, PPRV, GT500. So we've removed that restriction on the hat, and that's the only change. So we're gonna put it back on and test it. So I know on the GT hat, when I tested it with like a 400 liter per hour pump. I want to say we picked up like 35 liters per hour of flow we regained from removing it. So this flows a little more than a standard 400 liter per hour pump, right? Around 420 and 590 boosted. So we'll see if it's similar or different or what. We'll see what kind of restriction or what kind of gain you can expect to get, actual data of deleting it. Snugged up, drop her in, plug it in. Turn it on. My power supply is still on overcurrent protection from yesterday, so turn the voltage all the way down. Alright, now it's running. I'm going to go ahead and set her at, I did not like that. So we'll go to our normal voltage, 13.5. State, alright, and then 40 psi. All right. Stay. All right. Stayed it out a bit, so stayed out at 13.5 volts and 40 psi. All right. So, this is with PPRV delete on the 07 to 12 GT500 dual fuel hat. So, at 13.5, And we'll do 17.5 over here, 40 psi, right? I am at 1.95 for flow, and amperage is at 21.5. And I will dial it up to 17.5 volts so you can hear it spinning up. Alright, I'm at 17.5. Bouncing 2.8 to 2.7. Watch it for a second. It's bouncing, so I'll say flow is 2.75 and amperage is 28.4. So hopefully you can see that. My LED light out here did not like that surge from overcurrent on my power supply. Alright, let's convert that to liters per hour. So I got 1.95 times 227.125, 442 LPH, and 2.75 times 227.125, 624. So yeah, I can see we had an improvement. Take a look at how much here in a second. Alright, so see if y'all can fully see this. Check the camera here. That should be good. Alright, so before at 40 psi stock voltage, we had 420 liters per hour, so we saw a gain in 22 liters per hour at stock voltage at 40 psi. Now when I did this testing, this number tends to scale, so the more pressure you have, you start gaining a little more. So I'm not going to go through in this video. If you want to see that, I did it on the GT hat. It's more thorough, but this is just, we're getting a snapshot here. So at the higher voltage, it looks like we saw a little more substantial gain. So this one is 34. So yeah, the pump. So in this case, right, in this case, higher voltage, it's flowing more. I gained more because I removed a restriction to flow. And that's why there's more. Same if I were to scale pressure. At higher pressures, you would see more gain. So there it is. So about 22 at factory voltage, 40 psi, and then about 34 liters per hour gain, deleting it on boosted voltage. We can do a percentage real quick. It's not going to be a big jump, but it is an improvement, and it's like a $10, $15 mod. So bang for your buck's pretty high there. We spend way more money on lots of things. So 442 minus 420, which I gained 22 liters per hour, divided by 420, 5%. So I gained 5% flow out of my fuel pump module right off the bat. And like I said, that number may be higher in boost at higher pressures, right? And then if I'm running a BAP on my GT500 hat, voltage boosted to standard 18 volt booster, right? We had 624 minus 590, 34 liters per hour, and then divide that by 590 to get, hold on, I'm gooning up math. So I got 624 after minus 590 before gives me 34, and then divide that number by 590, the smaller one. So similar, 5.8%, closer to 6, we'll just say 6%. So 6% gain at that higher flow rate. So you can see it scaling. The higher flow, the more pressure, the more you're going to see. So there you are, pretty straightforward. So that's GT500 fuel hat with the PPRV and pressure dump valve deleted, and just regular hose, 3/8 hose plumbed in place. So like I said, pretty cheap mod, not too hard to install. It's part of my top 3 kit, which is fuel line from hat to rail, wiring to the FPDMs, and then this. It's a really cheap mod to do wiring, a hose and filter upgrade, and then this delete on the hat typically you can extend your pump range 25 to 30% with those 3 little mods. Stuff that people don't think about. People are always like, oh, I need bigger pumps, or I need a higher voltage booster, like up to 21 volts. Don't do that, by the way, especially if it's a street car. Or, fuel rails. Really, it's these little things that people overlook. So, like I said, deleting the PPRV, having adequate wiring, which that'll segue into my next video. I'll try to simulate how inadequate wiring affects current draw of the pump and actually reduces flow of the pump because the pump's running hotter, you get hot flow loss. So wiring, PPRV, delete, and then upgrading to like 8AN, this 1/2-inch line, all the way from the fuel hat, high flow aftermarket fuel filter up to the rails. Those are the best bang for your buck. But all right, that's it. Thanks.